Vice President Kamala Harris has secured a majority of DNC delegates, moving closer to securing her party's nomination for president. Joining us now to talk about the race for the White House, Libby Cantrill, head of U.S. public policy at PIMCO. It's all about, I guess, for our viewers, we've been calling it the Trump trade. I guess it could be the Harris trade. Used to be the Biden trade. And then, just in summary, I think in your view, that development over the weekend, which some people call it surprising. I don't know if since the debate, I don't know how surprising.
It seemed inevitable.
Yeah, it seemed inevitable. But it lessens the likelihood or the probability of a red sweep.
At this point.
At this point, it lessens it. Trump is still favored, but it's definitely a more open race. So the Trump trade, you think, might not be as strong a move.
Look, this just reset the race. And we've had a number of events that have reset the race over the last 3 weeks. This has been really I would say, a historical stretch in modern political history. Right. And so, at this point, there are a lot of unknowns. So, I mean, versus last week where the market understandably was pricing in not only a Trump presidency, but potentially a pretty vast Republican sweep of both chambers, both the Senate and the House, things have changed since then. But again, it is early to tell. We don't even have really good, firm polling on Harris versus Trump, particularly in the battleground states. So there's more kind of blank space here as of now. But we will likely have more information over the coming weeks and coming months. I think who she picks as her running mate now that she has secured the delegate allocation will be
you think that's important?
More important than usual.
I do think it's. I think both of them. I think for President Trump too. Folks are, as we know, this is sort of, I joke with our clients, this is the election that no one wants. And so the down ballot, who's number two can actually, I think, help to either mitigate concerns or potentially increase concerns. And right. I think for Kamala Harris, because she doesn't really have much of a record as a vice president, she has been more in the background. Who your number two is basically your first real public decision of expressing judgment, and so I think the stakes here are higher.
It's probably more than normal. But as we point out, it could be a narrowing race, and the other wild card is Donald Trump. We have no idea But after the financial crisis, COVID, everything that's happened, the crazy stuff that's happened to us in the last 10, 15 years. Should there be any surprise that there's an assassination attempt and then for the first time, I mean, no one's ever left the race. I think LBJ left in March. No one's ever left.
And he wasn't really in the race at that point. I mean, obviously the primary process was different in the 1960s. I mean, I think, Joe, the crazy thing is we had an assassination attempt as of last week, and now we're not even talking about it. I think that's almost, we're becoming so desensitized
an inch to the right,
incredibly dramatic.
An inch to the right, we'd be talking about it a lot right now.
I think that, yes, it was. I think we were all very fortunate that he turned his head by a quarter of an inch. But I think for our clients here, I mean, again, the takeaway is that right now, just given that the race has been upended, is that the chances of a Republican sweep are less than they were last week. But to your point, that's not to say this is the race is going to be steady. And I think this is the other point, is that the race will be dynamic, and there will be a lot of more moving parts over the next 3 months or so. It's just that things have become sort of so asymmetric in terms of the normalization of the yield curve, which is what we care about for our clients. Right. That obviously retraced yesterday, and now there's more focus, I think, understandably, on the Fed versus the
and there's always excitement
in that market.
I remember when I remember a lot, but I remember when Jerry Ford was picked sort of to take over, and initially there was a lot of excitement. There's always a lot of excitement, and there is right now a collective sigh of relief in the Democratic Party that they have, someone younger, someone that
there's hope.
There's hope. Exactly.
I think that's what we're seeing. There's hope and relief.
And there'll be excitement with the vice president, whatever picked. But then you get back to, okay, let's look closely at, exactly would she take us left of where Biden was, because she's basically a San Francisco Democrat, I guess one way of saying it.
She did run for political office in San Francisco for a district attorney, so yes.
The border stuff will come back up. All of it is going to come back, and it's going to be front and center. And then front and center for the Democrats will be that she's a prosecutor, and she can prosecute, the felon, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know how to
well, and this is, I think, why that caveat at this point is just so important, because there's just, again, a lot can change here. She is a known. I mean, even though she's been in Washington for 3.5 years, right. I mean, if you look at the race that she ran in 2020, she didn't necessarily have a lot of firm beliefs. She did equivocate on many things. And so some of those issues that haunted her in 2020 may certainly haunt her.
No idea.
I just think that if you're looking at this point, there's just a lot more dynamism in this race than there was last week.
I watched her last night, and we're going to build the middle class out. I'm going to continue to do what Joe Biden did. But then her main selling point was, I've prosecuted sex offenders, and we got one here I'm going to prosecute. I mean, that seriously was that was her pitch to the rabid crowd that was watching her.
Specifically, she said, I know his type. I know Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
But I think what's interesting about this, I don't know if you feel this way, President Biden was not prosecuting the case at all. Exactly. Meaning, when I say he was not even out there. And the truth is, if you look at
what it means, what does it mean? I'm going to prosecute.
But forgetting about the prosecuting the case, meaning when I say prosecuting the case, meaning
you're saying that the Justice Department had nothing to do with.
No. I'm saying that you did. I'm saying you didn't really have. In President Biden, you did not have anybody out there who was out there constantly. Both campaigning and, frankly, criticizing the former president, while you had the former president out there campaigning, and a huge part of his plank was to criticize the current president.
You didn't hear Biden saying that it's about democracy and saving the republic?
Yes, but very infrequently.
And even in the debate, and I think
what was he saying? I heard it pretty.
Yeah, I would just say one of her main focuses has been on reproductive rights, and that is something that Biden, you would think, would have been able to prosecute or litigate in the debate.
Though.
And he just wasn't, and he wasn't able to.
That's the one thing people point to with her now, that she was able to find some footing.
And this was exactly, she sort of found footing on this particular issue, particularly among young people. And so I think the reason why you're seeing so much exuberance, and potentially it is rational exuberance here among the Democratic Party, is that there is sort of hope and optimism that at least you have somebody who can make the case. She may not win the case, especially with voters in November, but at least she can make the case. And I think the argument with President Biden is he was just simply not equipped to be making that case.